You wouldn't believe that we're still afloat after 5 months of sailing with no previous experience. And today we're floating from the Newry Islands to Shore Island, hoping that the rain gives us a break. We couldn't be more excited to see the renowned beauty of the Whitsundays, because after having our fair share of rainy passages, we're getting a little over it. But with the postcard perfection of North Queensland on the horizon, nothing can dampen our spirits. Let's draw up the pick and hoist these sails.
We've still got our second reef in the mainsail from our last passage.
And we're going to keep it in for this passage.
So we're going to be leaving it in. Head that way a little bit.
You got a lot of north. It's right in the direction of where we're going. I'm really not in the mood to get wet this morning.
I am. No.
We already did that. Not keen. Not keen. Especially because I haven't had to wear my wet weather gear in ages. Since our passage. It was our recent one with, can't even remember. It's all a blur. But I haven't had to use my wet weather gear in a wee while. And it's not really wet weather gear if it leaks.
No, it's wet weather gear.
It's the wettest wet weather gear.
It's going to be one of those days. Wearing the new wet weather jacket that I found in the bin area at Mackay Marina. So I'm pretty happy about that.
Looks nice.
It's actually waterproof. That's a dry area. This is a wet area.
That's the fault support.
Yeah. Started the motor because we've been pretty calm since that rain shower. It's just causing, the swell's just causing the sails to constantly backfill as we go over waves. So at least with the motor on, we'll have a little bit more wind in our sails. Although it does feel like the wind's just picked up again, just as I started the motor. Classic.
So it's been, I look so funny with this.
Beautiful.
I've been trying to find a way to, because sailing with a fringe is it's really difficult. It's like the silliest hairstyle to have when you're sailing because it just goes everywhere. So I'm trying to find like what's going to be my fringe friendly hairstyles for sailing. Headband doesn't work, and so now I'm going with the Russian look. It's working so far. We're about 2 hours into our passage. Actually, maybe even more. A little bit more. It's been so bloody enjoyable. I'm reading Death on the Nile with Josh. Relatively light winds. It's picked up a little bit. It was a bit slow for a while there when we were going through that rain. Josh put the motor on. But yeah, we've probably got about 10 to 15 knots at the moment on a close reach. And yeah, the sea state's really calm. Yeah, he's just trying to sort out some things before we run out of reception. So we always remember that we're about to run out of reception right as we're running out of reception. Then by that time that it happens, it's too late. But it's nice not relying on the internet so much that we don't even remember that we're not going to have it, if that makes sense. But it's been super lovely having the having these light winds on our aft quarter. We had whales before. We got Pahelian up ahead. It's so bloody lovely to have the sun out. Oh my god, there's a whale at the bow. GoPro's not going to be able to pick it up, but just saw a whale fully breach out of the water. So cool. And it's awesome because when we've got such a lovely passage like this, it means that I can go up on the bow. Okay, I got in trouble. About 5 nautical miles away from our anchorage now, and we've been consistently getting over 7 knots, which is awesome.
Shook our number 2 reef out a little while ago because after the rain shower we had no wind, so now we've got full sails up, so we're really moving. But we should be there in about 30 minutes. So
Right on schedule. Actually, a little bit beforehand. We were supposed to get there at 1 when we left. Well, Navionics said we'd get there around 1:32, and it's 11:30. So
been consistently doing over 5 knots. So.
yeah, feels good.
Yeah, it's good. Very good sail.
Mothers, madam, are particularly ruthless with their children in danger.
We were so blown away by the beauty of this island upon arrival. After a passage, I like to nourish my nervous system by cleaning up the space, making a cup of herbal tea, and reading in the sunshine or stretching or doing yoga. Josh being Josh and the dudes on Pahelian being dudes, naturally the way that they want to nourish their nervous systems is by getting in the water and spearing fish. Unfortunately, the visibility was shocking and I really did consider editing a montage of it, but even I found myself reaching for my phone to mindlessly scroll when I was watching it. So to make this long story short, Josh had a great time, the boys had a great time, and so did the fish because none of them could be seen or caught. Josh and I just woke up. We've had a look at the tender. Whoa. Not good. Completely filled with water. Is it salt?
Yeah, it's salt water.
It's salt water. Wow. Almost sunk. It's probably just from the wind chop last night.
Well, yeah, maybe the...
Unless we've got a hole somewhere, but
Yeah.
there's no... Yeah. Do you want to pass the oar up to me? Easier?
I'll pass it the petrol up to you.
Yeah.
Because the petrol's probably taking on water, so we might have to get rid of it.
Now that the wind's dropped, we'll be able to monitor it today. See if any more water comes on. That bucket did a good job. So
Yeah.
did you.
This whole thing is just gonna...
So we're trying to FaceTime our families and we're struggling because the internet reception's pretty tragic here. So for the first time ever, we're going to run our phone up the mast with the halyard and hotspot off that phone and see how we go. See how that's going. Ah! Oh!
Oh my god, ow.
Woohoo!
Phoebe's standing on top of the mast with a phone holding it up and we're hotspotting. No, yeah, we just put it in a bag and pulled it up to the mast. So now we're hotspotting off one phone, so we got signal.
Okay, great, okay.
So, as you would be aware, we've been having a few little dramas with our battery in the V-berth for the anchor winch going low voltage and not pulling it up. Pulling the anchor up, that is. So, I've discovered that I believe it's because I've put in this cable from our ignition to our DC to DC charger that tells it to start drawing current as soon as the motor's turned on. Rather than sensing the voltage and drawing down on it once it's at a adequate voltage. So I'm just going to disconnect that and we'll just check that out over the next few times we pull up anchor and move and see if it has a noticeable difference. So I've just removed that and labelled it. I'm going to leave it run in and installed in case we need some sort of other cable for comms or any voltage coming from our house battery, but yeah, just got to remember that it's there is the trick. Due to the porta boat flooding last night, our inboard tank was upside down, floating in the water. I'm a little bit concerned that there might be salt water in there. And because we've already done one outboard, I don't want to risk it. So I'm going to siphon from the bottom of the tank because as water has a greater relative density than petrol, so it will sink to the bottom of the tank. So if I get a hose at the bottom of the tank and I can siphon into something that we can see whether there's water and fuel, then I can gauge how much is actually in there. Otherwise, Esky suggested that we shake the tank vigorously, pour it into a see-through container and then wait to see if water separates from the petrol there, and that will also indicate. So probably give both of them a go just to be 100% sure. I'm actually just compressing it and then expanding it, and that's drawing. It's creating a negative pressure here, which is actually drawing down from that tank above. So it's like siphoning it, but instead of needing to use your mouth, you can just use the bottle, which is much more pleasant. The tank's getting pretty empty now, so there you go. When I disconnect this, you'll hear a little breaking the vacuum, and I know that that's all clean fuel, void of any water. All the water I've just been putting in this jar because it's got a little bit of fuel still in it, and I'll get rid of that at a later date. Now we obviously know what we're doing here to separate the water and the petrol, but why? Why is the water sinking below the petrol? And I find it pretty interesting why, the theory behind it all. It's basically due to the specific gravity of the fluids, and that is basically related to their weight, but the specific gravity is always compared to water, right? So the specific gravity or relative density of petrol is 0.8 and water is always 1. So because water is heavier, it's falling through the petrol and grouping together at the bottom, and all the petrol with a specific gravity of 0.8 is lighter, so it's rising above. And this is the whole reason that we're separating this, is because if I put that through our outboard, it's going to end up like the last one, cactus. So after I've siphoned a little bit of the petrol into this container, I do have to let it settle for a while, because when it's siphoning, all the fluids are mixing together. Well, they're not actually mixing together, they're just becoming separated, I guess. And it takes a little while for them to settle, and all the water will fall to the bottom. See how it's still slightly cloudy? Pretty successful, learned a few new things, always exciting. And yeah, now I'm just gonna pack the tender up and get ready, because tomorrow we're gonna sail a little bit closer to Early Beach. Catch of the day. Phoebe and I are just doing a bit of chatting about our 26 nautical mile passage from Shore Island to Early Beach tomorrow, and we're just doing a little bit of necessary organising. Phoebe's cooking some beautiful pumpkin soup.
Trying to make space in the freezer. And I'm referring to my 1980 edition of the complete Yachtsman's Handbook Guide to the Whitsundays. It's a little bit aged, but still has some very bloody good information on it. The only thing that's different is the amount of resorts that have gone out of business.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you wouldn't want to refer to that. Anyway, what we need to consider tomorrow is the direction of the tidal flow. We did a little bit of studying and we found out that the tide floods southward and it ebbs northward. So if we were to leave tomorrow morning
As planned
at low tide and ride the tide up onto high, that is at 11:20, we would be going wind against tide and would be having a very terrible time. The tidal flow can get up to
I think 5 or 6 knots or something really gnarly through there. So if we can carry the tide, we're going to have a bloody good sail. And if we get it wrong, we're going to
Have a not very good sail.
And also scary and dangerous too. In this book it says, with winds from the south, it's smoother on an ebb tide, which we'll have tomorrow. And with winds from the north, it's smoother on a flood tide. So now we've figured that out, we're going to have a really casual morning tomorrow morning and enjoy our short sail. All going to plan. Even though we've already packed up the tenders, so we won't be doing anything in the morning.
Stuck on the boat tomorrow.
But hey, we're ahead of our plans, so that's wonderful.